like to call the May regular board meeting to end. At this point, we will have a roll call. Ms. Bowie, if you'd call the roll, please.
Good afternoon. Pete Wildebohr.
Present.
Pat Bradford.
I am here.
Josie Barnhart. Stephanie Craybill.
Here.
Melissa Mason.
Here.
Hugh McManus. And Stephanie Walker.
Here.
Here, I'm like, excuse me, it's here.
I think he's here mostly. Board members, I would call for a approval of the agenda. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Bradford moved.
I'd like to amend the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
I'd like to, well, do I need to wait for a second? I'd like to add, right before the vote for the new attorney, a short discussion to potentially adopt a resolution in support of the SBI release documentation for discussion and potentially adopt a resolution openly as a board.
Okay, so we have a first. I will second that.
Okay.
So we have a first and a second for the motion to.
That again, I was
Can you say that again, please?
Yeah, there was a lot of words.
I would like for us to consider adopting a motion, a resolution for Attorney Josh Stein's office to release the SBI documentation.
To request for them to do that.
So are we going to discuss that a little bit?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to.
No, I mean to discuss to add.
Yes.
My suggestion would be if we're going to add that, then we might want to have a closed session discussion to talk about what we want to do to make sure that we understand, pros and cons of doing such. So does that make sense? Got to press your button.
Right, well, I think if it's right before legal services, we will have had a closed session after call the audience. Is that right?
Okay.
So there will be an opportunity for
Okay.
legal questions.
Okay, yeah.
Then, yeah,
Okay.
that's
Okay.
all.
All right, so we have a motion, a second. Is there any other discussion about it? If not, let's do a roll call just to make sure, please.
Ms. Barnhart.
Yes.
Ms. Craybill.
Yes.
Ms. Mason.
Yes.
Mr. McManus.
Yes.
Ms. Walker.
Yes.
Ms. Bradford.
Yes.
And Mr. Wildebohr.
Aye. Passes 7-0. So we're back to our original motion to approve the amended agenda. We have a first and second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Also passes 7-0. Next on our agenda, we have an invocation. We would like to call forward the Imam Abdul Rahman Sharif from the Talud Islamic Center. Please stand.
Benefactor, the merciful Redeemer, the Most High, the Mighty, the Wise, the incomparably great, giver of all that is good, acceptor of what only is good. We pray for your divine providence upon this Hanover County School Board of Education meeting. Grant board members and staff the best jurisprudence and insightful intellect in all decision-making affairs and policies. Allow inspiration that will influence and impact all students to pursue the excellence of human potential, and grant them inspiration that will influence love and appreciation for attending school, and promote excellence and perfection as a goal to be future leaders in the American society. And when this meeting comes to an end, bless all present with a safe return to their intended destination. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Next, we will have the Ashley High School ROTC Color Guard Unit provide the presentation of colors, and it's under the direction of Lieutenant Colonel Robert Reiner, Principal Patrick McCarty. As they come forward, we'll have the Myrtle Grove Middle School student Addie Daniels providing the national anthem under the direction of Jamie Wood, Choral Director, Principal Cindy Bliss.
Breathe
Member Hugh McManus to lead the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. You may be seated. We would invite the Ashley Junior ROTC to come back and introduce themselves, as well as our wonderful young lady that sang for us, if you wouldn't mind coming forward. Sorry? Oh, and the guitar player, too. Yes, absolutely. Would you guys come forward, please?
I'm Addie Daniels. Hi, I'm Katie Kerpes.
Hi, I'm Nash Dallas.
Hi, I'm Hayden Cornelli.
Hello, I'm Kaylee Signorello.
Good evening, I'm Tyler Simpson.
Hello, I'm Isaiah Andrade.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Again, thank you all for being here today. It was wonderful. We're going to continue now with our recognitions. Clarice, I believe. Just going to be heading it up.
Good evening, Board Chair, Vice Chair, Dr. Faust, and members of the Board of Education. I am here this evening with your recognitions for tonight. First up, we would like to recognize our Board of Education Future Teacher Scholarship recipients. Congratulations to the 2023 New Hanover County Board of Education Student Scholarship winners for future teachers. The Board of Education recognizes the critical role that future educators play in shaping the quality of education in New Hanover County. The winners of this scholarship will receive $28,000 each. The scholarship will support these 4 students in pursuing their education at an accredited North Carolina community college, or university of their choosing. We applaud the scholarship recipients for their dedication to the field of education and their commitment to positively impacting the lives of students in New Hanover County. Congratulations again on the significant achievement, and we look forward to welcoming these 4 students back in a few years as gifted and qualified educators. Stella Few, Laney High School. Isabella Gonzalez, Ashley High School. Nicholas Klein, Laney High School. Reagan Lanier, Laney High School. Congratulations again to you 4. Our next recognition is our Distinguished Leadership in Practice program. Congratulations to the following principals: They recently completed the Distinguished Leadership in Practice program, a year-long leadership development program for practicing school principals across North Carolina. The program is designed and provided by NC Principals and Assistant Principals Association, also known as NC PAPA. The program uses a non-traditional professional development model aligned with the performance evaluation standards adopted by the State Board of Education for North Carolina school leaders. Join me in congratulating Principals Deanna Leek, Sabra Wright, Brent Hall, Lauren Napola, Christiane May, and Paul Slavic. Congratulations again to these principals. I am thrilled to be able to recognize another new Hanover County School staff member whose quick thinking and swift action has saved a life. When a student began to choke on a plastic ring from a water bottle, Ms. Tara Huntsman, school counselor at Forest Hills Global Elementary, immediately sprang into action. She performed the Heimlich maneuver without hesitation, which dislodged the obstruction from the student's throat and prevented a tragedy from occurring. Your courage and presence of mind in that moment is a testament of your dedication to our students' welfare. Your selfless act exemplifies what it means to be a true educator and a caring community member. We are proud to have you as a part of our school, and your actions have inspired us all to be more aware and ready to impact change. On behalf of the entire school community, we extend our deepest appreciation and gratitude to you, Ms. Huntsman. Please join me up here for your recognition this evening. Our next recognition celebrates the incredible talents of our young artists who have won the Azalea Festival Art Contest. These talented students have demonstrated a remarkable ability to capture the beauty and essence of our community through their artwork. Their creativity and dedication have produced some truly stunning pieces showcasing a range of styles, techniques, and mediums. From colorful paintings to intricate drawings and everything in between, these artworks are a true testament to the imagination and skill of our young artists. Congratulations to the following New Hanover County School winners of the Azalea Festival Art Contest. Tallulah Kopp, Carmen Politis, Kygo Roach, Brinley Shalawaski, and Emma Ditson. For our final recognition, I would like to invite Addison Daniels back up to the front. Addie Daniels is an 8th grade Myrtle Grove Middle School student. She was selected for the prestigious 2022 North Carolina Middle School Honors Chorus. This was Addie's 3rd year being selected for the North Carolina Honors Chorus, having served for 2 years as an elementary school student. Ms. Daniels was the only middle school singer from New Hanover County Schools to have been selected for the choir this year, and she represented her school and district at the highest standard. Addie and other students were recognized at the concert held at the North Carolina School of the Arts Stevens Center this past winter. I am pleased to have Addie back up front with her, who we just heard moments ago do our national anthem. Congratulations to Addison for her hard work, talent, and determination, as well as Krista Faison, our interim art supervisor, and Jamie Woods, Addison's chorus teacher at Myrtle Grove Middle School. That concludes our recognitions from the evening. Thank you.
All right, we'll continue now with the approval of the minutes. Do we hear a motion?
So moved.
So moved, Ms. Bradford. Second? Ms. Craybill? You second? Okay. All right. Ms. Craybill, what would you like to pull off?
Yes, the one I want to pull off to discuss is the meeting minutes from our 424, our board agenda review.
Okay, 4/20, April 4/24. Okay, agenda review from April 24th. So we have a first to approve the rest of them, and then we'll go back to that one. Is there a second? That's again to approve all the meeting notes except for April 24th.
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Passes 7-0. Ms. Craybill.
Yes, sir. If we go back and look at that, I think that we need to have the minutes reflect that we changed the agenda to allow the law firms who were late to go later in the meeting, and that we did that with no vote from the board. So I just think that we should have that reflected in minutes.
And as my recollection was that they were given a different time. Ms. Sutton, can you speak to that? Please?
Yes, there was some miscommunication as far as, I think, how the agenda was laid out versus the times that the firms were asked to come to present. So I think we did adjust the agenda based on the times that the individuals were set to present originally. Does that
Yeah,
answer your
and
question?
I don't have any problem
Okay.
with that happening. I just think that the minutes should reflect
Right.
that we changed the agenda because we did.
Okay.
And, but we didn't take a vote, to change the agenda.
Okay,
We just sort of, some people said, I don't want to do it now, I want to wait. And some people were like, okay, but we didn't ever vote. So I just think
Okay.
that if anybody else cares about that level of detail.
Okay. We have a motion to make that amendment, and anybody have an opinion on that or discussion?
Need a second. Does it need a second? I'll
Do we-
second
wait,
it.
yes, let me start with that. Do we have a second?
Second.
Ms. Walker, okay, Ms. Walker seconds. Any additional discussion on that? If not, all in agreement, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes 7-0. So the amended. Let's now vote
Thank you.
on passing that. So we have amended that. All in favor of now approving the amended agenda review for April 24th. I'll say that 4 times really quick. Please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Again, passes 7-0. At this time, we will move on with our student voice. Welcome, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having us.
Welcome,
I am Cassidy Thompson, a junior at Hoggard High School.
Hi, I am Tanea Toon, and I am a sophomore at Laney High School.
We just wanted to share some updates with you guys on what we've been up to and what some of our next steps are. So first of all, our Student Voice website is up and running. Ms. Clegg has been working hard to get that set up for us, so it's on the EDI page of the New Hanover County Schools website. And we've revised our mission statement and been working hard on that. Mr. Johnson is also going to be handing over the Empower Ed newsletter to Student Voice to kind of use it for our purposes, and just we're going to be dealing with that from now on. And another thing is, some members of our team were able to go to the Equity Summit last Friday, which was such a positive experience. There were over 175 students from different schools there, and it was great. We got to set up a booth, we made a poster, and got some more students to sign up. We have some more students who have shown interest now from a variety of different schools. So before I hand it over to Tanea to talk about our next steps, we're just super excited that all of this is coming to fruition, that we're growing out of our just idea phase and into the implementation phase, and that next school year we will actually have a lot of students from different schools that will be able to talk about and impact real decisions. It's just super exciting, and we're so grateful for this opportunity and excited to see what the next year will hold.
Hi guys, I'm here now to talk about our next steps. So for the next school year, some of our next steps are to get our interest form out and to get our kickoff summit and our application ready for the next school year, so students will know who we are and what we do, and if they are interested, they will be able to apply. Another one of our steps is to send out that application in August, right when the school year starts, so that we can get, going and running throughout the school year. To have that kickoff summer in the fall, and to establish norms for our team so that students know what they are expected, of doing while they're in our group, and so that they know, how to carry themselves and just, what to do while they're in our group. And that's what we're trying to do, as the new, school year gets here.
And one more thing to add, just about our norms. We've been discussing this with our team, is we want to make sure that our Student Voice team is one that just cultivates an atmosphere of respect, and that we're not just here to complain, but we're here to just offer proactive solutions, and that it will be a place where we can just understand that our views will not always align, but appreciate what we can learn from each other. And we really want it to be a diverse group. We'll definitely make that a point in when we're sorting through the applications. We want students from all the schools in the county who come from different backgrounds, so that we can hear from all different types of students, and we can all have a chance to make an impact on our education. So that's our updates we have for you guys. If you have any questions.
Any questions, board members? Ms. Walker?
Hold on.
You did.
Yeah, so I just get my mic on. First, I want to say, well done. I know doing an initiative like this from the ground up is a very difficult thing to do. One, to form, and two, to get it all together and keep it going. And I know how hard you guys have been working, so I want to say I appreciate that very much. I think for us, I assume when the forms go out, you'll have on there what committees maybe people want to serve on, board committees. And by that time, hopefully we'll have had our applications done, so we can, be able to give you guys that too. But anyway, I just wanted to thank you, because y'all have worked very, very hard, and I appreciate you coming back. And I want to hear an update every month, no matter what it is. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Graybill?
For the students that you talk to in there, just give them our best on taking their making exams, their end of grade tests, their end of course tests. They may be already finished by the time our next board meeting happens. So getting all this planned and still doing your job of being the students that you are is important. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much.
Mr. McManus?
I just want to add to what both have said. I can remember when this first came to discussion, and we were so excited. I know that some boards would be hesitant to have students starting to involve and ask questions. I think for us to represent every single one of you, we need to listen. That's what we're here for. We may not always agree, but we can do it, but we need your input.
Thank you so much.
Yes. And I'll just add that, again, thank you for coming up and speaking. It takes a lot to get in front of all these adults, so thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity and all your support.
Thank you. Good. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I believe next on our agenda will be the superintendent's report. Dr. Faust?
Good evening. First and foremost, I'd like to express my appreciation to our 45 exceptional school principals whose dedication was celebrated yesterday on National School Principals Day. Their hard work and leadership have been essential in fostering a positive learning environment for all of our students. I'm also delighted to announce that just moments ago, we awarded the Board of Education student scholarships for future teachers. These 4 scholarships, valued up to $28,000 each, will enable promising students to pursue their aspirations of becoming educators at accredited North Carolina institutes, contributing to the future of our district and beyond. This week, we'll be celebrating a significant accomplishment: the graduation of our inaugural Career and Leadership Development Academy cohort in collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce. The program allowed middle school students to acquire career, leadership, and education pathway knowledge, building their leadership skills and highlighting employable skills needed for today's workforce. This innovative program has not only enhanced the professional skills of our students, but also nurtured the next generation of community leaders. Later this week, we'll be hosting our Educator of the Year celebration, where we will recognize all of our outstanding finalists and announce the overall Educator of the Year. The deserving winner will receive a cash prize of approximately $6,500, while all finalists will be honored with special prizes and gifts as a token of our appreciation for their exceptional work and dedication to our students. As we approach the end of the year, our dedicated staff and students are diligently preparing for end-of-grade tests and graduation ceremonies. Simultaneously, we are laying the groundwork for a successful upcoming academic year by identifying areas of improvement and developing strategic plans. The safety of our students remain a top priority, and we have been working relentlessly to make necessary enhancements in our school buildings. These improvements will ensure a secure and supportive environment where our students can thrive. To wrap up, I want to extend my deepest gratitude to the entire school community for their unwavering commitment and hard work throughout this school year. Your collective efforts have made these accomplishments possible and have positioned us for continued success in the future. Thank you for your dedication to our district and to the students we serve. Thank you. This concludes my.
Thank you, Dr. Faust. And I think I'm going to have move that because you stole half of my thunder right here. Just a couple things I had, and I'm going to do something a little bit different at the end. But first off, I enjoyed working with and interviewing the Teachers of the Year and Principals of the Year. What a great opportunity to meet with some wonderful people. We actually had a former Teacher of the Year, that Ms. Abby Nobles, I believe she's still here. Is Abby still here? I've asked her to come forward. She's going to share an idea with us real quickly that I think is outstanding. Thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. The 2022 New Hanover County Schools District and Overall Teachers of the Year team, Stephen O'Neill, Melissa Allen, Elizabeth Rappold, in conjunction with myself, the 2022 Southeast Regional Teacher of the Year, are excited to recommend to the board their desire to have a 1 to 2 minute spot each month at the board meetings for Teacher of the Year representatives to share teacher voice and positive engagement from around New Hanover County schools. As key stakeholders on the ground, they are excited to rotate each 1 to 2 minute spotlight to highlight our great teacher leaders and activity in New Hanover County schools. So that's an idea that my team and I came up with, and we would love your support to make that happen and that place on the board agenda happen. So thank you.
Thank you very much. We were sitting down chatting, and she came up with that idea, and I said, you know, we have student voice, but wouldn't it be great to also hear from educators and educator voice? So I think that'd be awesome, something for us to talk about in the future. Additionally, I was going to mention that the Future Teacher Scholarship interviews, we were all part of that, and boy, I tell you, it was eye-opening. It was wonderful. The young folks that we saw here today, with additional, there were 3 other additional students that also interviewed for that, and just what a joy to hear these young people and all their positivity, their wonderful ideas, and the fact that they just want to come back and work here in New Hanover County schools so much. I also wanted to mention that we had site visits as we announced the Teachers of the Year, and boy, I tell you, there were some of them that were very, very surprised. So tears were once again flowing, and just some wonderful teachers doing a super job with their students throughout the school district. So would like to highlight all the Teachers of the Year and congratulate them, as well as the Principals of the Year. And finally, I have a quick announcement from Mrs. Mason.
So I announced this last month, but it was right at the end, and I wanted to just make sure that everybody else could hear it because I think it's a great opportunity for parents. The New Hanover County Schools Advisory Council for Exceptional Children are putting on a parent forum. It's titled Parents as Partners in the IEP Process. It will be happening Thursday, May 18th from 7:30 to 8:30, and it's going to be online via Zoom. I'm pretty certain they're going to be sending this information home with parents, but I really wanted to just highlight it because I think that the people on this committee have been doing so much good and hard work to make this a phenomenal forum. So hope that parents can come and participate.
Thank you, Ms. Mason. And that ends my report. Next on our agenda is the call to the audience. Ms. Bradford will be calling the names as usual.
Ready to go? Christina Mercer.
Good evening. I'm here tonight because I'm tired of playing games. I'm tired of these side issues that keep the board from focusing on what really impacts students and teachers in New Hanover County's public schools. First, I cannot fathom your insistence on being content with the most minimum state requirements for funding and staffing. For decades, employees have known that the state numbers are ridiculous, and the only way to strengthen the schools is to enhance those numbers. In order to do this, the board and the county commissioners have to work together. Yet we have a superintendent who keeps telling them we're fully staffed, and a board who gives condescending presentations about the budget. I hear you speak about improving student achievement, but you all are expecting caviar on a hamburger budget. Why should students strive to race to the top if you're satisfied with the bottom? It's part of your job to advocate for more funding. Why don't you do it? Also, there are dozens of abuse victims from teachers who were allowed to continue teaching for decades despite whispers of misbehaviors. This predates you all, but you could finish the lawsuit and put the money towards that by simply settling. Surely there is a point where legal fees exceed what the school system was hoping to save in settlement money. Do it. Help these victims move on with their lives and begin to work through the trauma. And last, I spent the last years of my career at the alternative school, and I'm telling you definitively, this school system doesn't discipline students consistently. Minority students are more likely to receive a harsher punishment than their white peers for the same offense. Students with disabilities aren't immune from being suspended, and even long-term suspended, even if their infraction was directly related to their disability. I had been hopeful when the new behavior matrix came out, but it became quickly obvious that no one was following it. In closing, you represent New Hanover County Schools. It is your job to advocate for what is best for all students. Are you going to spend your time chasing and resolving non-issues created by non-educators, or are you going to actually work together to create a better school system for all students? Thank you.
Thank you. Karen Clark?
I speak in the name of Jesus for love to overflow, for the spirit of wisdom and revelation. For the foolish things of God have proven to be wiser than human wisdom, and the feeble things of God have proven to be far more powerful than any human ability. I pray the wisdom from above will enter your heart, and a deep fountain of truth will be opened inside of you. I pray His grace will flood you with bold courage, giving you the ability to move forward in spite of what you see, that you will not be easily shaken by trouble, nor led astray by novel teachings or by false doctrines of deceivers who teach clever lies. But instead you will remain strong and always sincere in love as you express the truth. So in awe before the Father of our Lord Jesus, the perfect Father of every child in heaven and on the earth, I pray that He would unveil within you the unlimited riches of His glory and favor, until supernatural strength floods your innermost being with His divine might and explosive power. Then the resting place of His love will become the very source and root of your life. Never doubt God's mighty power to work in you. He will achieve infinitely more than your greatest request, your most unbelievable dream, and exceed your wildest imagination. His miraculous power outdoes them all, constantly energizing you. We give God all the glorious praise that rises from every generation.
Thank you, Ms.
Through
Clark.
Jesus and
You're out of
all
time.
that will yet be manifest through eternity. Amen.
Thumbs up.
Peter Radovich?
Did you know that the words equity and equitable appear 27 times in the New Hanover County School Board Policy Manual? For example, in Policy 4300, it states student behavior policies are provided to establish a system that ensures the equitable treatment of all students. In other words, white students should make up about 58% of the out-of-school suspensions, and about 18% would be black students, because 58% of the student population is white and 18% is black. With equitable treatment, there's justice. Now, the word equal appears 50 times in the school board policies. In Policy 2130, it states that an equal amount of budgeted funds will be allocated for each board member for conferences, conventions, or other board development activities. That is, you all get a fair and consistent amount of money. So tonight, as you consider Policy 3610, Counseling Program, look for the word equitable. Spoiler alert, it's not there. Because all of our students' needs are different, school counselors must be able to provide equitable access to opportunities. And if they're already doing it, fabulous. Just put it in the policy. Fair and consistent access would be an injustice. With equitable access, justice prevails.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Radowich. Chris Sutton.
I noticed that apparently we had another child almost die, and yet we're still dragging our feet on getting an airway clearance device. This is getting ridiculous. If we have a child die, that's going to lay on all y'all's heads. It's wrong, okay? You have to watch how you speak to attorneys, because one word can change an entire conversation. So for instance, Ms. Bradford, you asked about the elephant in the room. You asked about a conflict of interest. You said there was none. But there's a perceived conflict of interest, and he knew this because he brought up the Port City Daily article in which even Ms. Adams quoted as saying the board would speak about the perceived conflict of interest in closed session. All a perceived conflict of interest is if a reasonable person can look at the details and state that there is a chance that someone might make a bad decision or a slanted interpretation because they have some type of gain or something to get. Liberty Mutual, I asked y'all to see how much money we spent to fight the victim. Liberty Mutual paid Tharrington Smith to fight the victims. I believe it's close to $1 million. That's just one lawsuit. They work with Liberty Mutual on potentially multiple lawsuits, so we're talking millions of dollars potentially. That is an inherent perceived conflict of interest, and he ducked the conversation on a technicality because perceived was not added in. That is ridiculous. Call to audience has two problems that have been discussed. Teachers and staff being unable to sign up at exactly 8 a.m. due to organized groups blocking out a chunk of call to audience posts. Both of these problems can be accomplished without the lottery system that y'all are trying to introduce. We could create a teacher voice agenda item before call to audience that allows teachers to be heard without competing with the rest of the community. I believe there's a significant difference in perception of what the value of call to audience is. I believe some members believe it is a waste of time and just a mandated part of the process. Others, including myself, believe that citizen participation is mandated because it is our new soapbox in the town square. It is our opportunity to not only address our elected officials, but also raise concerns with the community. I didn't know we were locking kids in closets until a parent spoke at a call to audience.
Thank you, Mr.
She
Sutton.
helped raise awareness
Your
and
time
shut down the
is up,
seclusion
Mr.
rooms.
Sutton.
Thank you.
Thank you. Denise, you now?
Good evening. My name is Denise Yanone. I am the president of the New Hanover County Special Education Parent-Teacher Association. With Teacher Appreciation Week upon us, it is important to recognize and support our great teachers. But what does support for all teachers look like? Why should we support teachers at all? The second question is easier to answer. It is for the same reason that we should support parents. It is because both parents and teachers hold the lives and well-being of our community's children in their hands. Supporting teachers means making sure they all have a lunch period, a preparation period, and reasonable access to a restroom. Support means providing enough resources for teachers to teach and for parents to learn. Support means enough appropriately certified staff for each classroom. Parent support means attending to parent concerns and trying to find appropriate solutions together. Support means informing parents of their rights. It means open and frequent communication in ways parents can understand and access. The best thing parents, teachers, administrators, and community members can do for our children is to find ways to support each other without anger and fear. Supporting parents and teachers is the only viable way to support our students. Children thrive when parents and teachers find ways to work together. Heartfelt gratitude for our entire education staff, our future teachers, our parents and guardians, and most especially for our beautiful children. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yanone. Katie Gates.
Good evening, Board. I ask you to carefully revisit your policies and curriculum in the upcoming months and perhaps provide more oversight and maintain compliance within already existing objectives. In doing so, please ensure the protection of American ideals and heritage and guard against the promotion of Marxist and communist principles that have crept into the curriculum. Cultural Marxism has invaded our schools through dangerous ideologies and programs that appeal to emotion, not fact. Parents, please take note of what is being taught to your children directly and indirectly. In 1789, the first federal law on education linked the Christian religion and public education together, declaring religion, morality, and knowledge as necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind. President Truman repeatedly stated that communism represented a conflict between Christianity and anti-Christianity, asserting the only lasting way for America to defeat communism was through Christianity. That worked great until 1963, when the Supreme Court took prayer out of schools. In that same year, 45 communist goals were read into the congressional record. I actually encourage you to read those all and reflect on the premises that have been incorporated into our modern psyche and our educational system since 1963. Let me just read a few. 17 says, get control of the schools. Use them as transmission belts for socialism and current communist propaganda. Soften the curriculum. Get control of teachers' associations. Put the party line in textbooks. 24, eliminate all laws governing obscenity by calling them censorship and a violation of free speech and free press. 30, discredit founding fathers. Present them as selfish aristocrats who had no concern for the common man. And 41, emphasize the need to raise children away from the negative and suppressive influence of parents. So I thank you for considering those as examples of parental concerns in this area. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gates. Barbara Barker-Witz.
Good evening. Can you hear me? Book Review Committee. I'm appalled by the trajectory the majority of the board is taking and what was said by those of you in favor. Banning books. By whom? By what criteria? By what right? There are parental choice policies in place. No legislation exists in our taxpayer-funded public school system denying the rights of parents and their children access to books other people want removed. As for objections voiced by some stating it's not a ban, let's dispense with semantics and using words like Marxism taken out of context. This slippery slope of first step aligns with fascism and autocracy. Let's review fascism's alignment in history. Hitler, for example, in 1939, removing books, then burning them. South Africa banning authors and their books during apartheid. Soviet Russia, prior to, during World War II, and afterwards, did all of that, as well as rewrote Ukraine's history, and now has quickly removed books, yet again, then burned piles of them. Then there's Iran. So parallels of fascism are in our country. For one example, there's a district in Texas right now that was actually pushing for a community book burn. With Putin's invasion of Ukraine, the people there, including my relatives, both past and present, were and are risking their lives for a democratic existence that also includes resisting fascistic censorship such as this, with this committee. They lived it and they know it. They're experiencing purges now, just as they experienced the purges of Stalin, and they'd have a lot to say about what's being proposed here, and they know firsthand. And they'd enlighten you about the aligned paths of fascism, both past and present. So again, there's that slippery slope taught, hopefully, to us by history.
Thank you, Ms. Backowitz. You're out of time.
Thank you.
Loretta Stackhouse.
Good evening. The short-term suspension policy number 4351 states that before a student receives an out-of-school suspension, they have a right to an informal hearing where they shall be informed of the charges and the basis for the accusations against him or her, and may make statements in defense or mitigation of the charges. The students also may request that the principal hear from persons whom the student claims can speak on his or her behalf. If the student reasonably claims the need for additional time to present such persons, the principal may postpone action for a reasonable time. That may sound reasonable for a teenager in high school, but does it make sense for a 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-old child? Remember, 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-old children are only in kindergarten, first, and second grade. Their reasoning and thinking are not the same as older children. They may know they're in trouble, but it's unlikely they will be thinking about requesting that the principal hear from persons who can speak on their behalf. And I don't expect them to request additional time to present such persons. That is why short-term suspension policy number 4351 needs to be revised. Our younger learners deserve the right to have their parent or other representative present at the formal hearing. If this is already happening in some school, that's great. It needs to be in the policy so that every 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-old has that right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Stackhouse. Leslie Posey.
Good evening. The length of board meetings has been a recent topic of discussion. I would like to point out a few things that have unnecessarily used your time. The calendar. You have spent multiple hours debating the school calendar. In 2005, the then newly elected Republican legislature declared that school must start no earlier than August 27th and must end by June 10th. This put the end of the first semester in January. This law is still in effect. All you had to do was follow it. Books in our schools. Again, hours have been spent discussing ways to keep our children from reading. The district already has an excellent policy. If I don't want my daughter to read To Kill a Mockingbird, fine. I tell her teacher, I tell the librarian, she's blocked from that book. Problem solved. You have spent more hours revisiting policies that should not be changed. The budget. You minutely discuss cutting vital positions, but make no mention of our top-heavy administration. North Carolina has a huge surplus in the rainy day fund. Urge them to use some of it on schools as is required in the state constitution. One thing I learned in high school debate, rambling is a sign of being inept. The call to audience seems to be the top consideration for shortening meetings. If you really don't want to hear from us, do what is right for the children. We have given you information on programs to train teachers to stop seclusion and suspension, along with laws governing policy. So stop trying to eliminate the messengers and do what we elected you to do. Run our schools so that the kids are safe and get the most complete education possible. But if we're so dangerous that the SROs need to stand behind us, and you really enjoy complaining, fine. Mrs. Abel and I are glad to keep crocheting in the back while listening to your rambling.
Thank you, Ms. Posey. Rocky Jeter Webb.
I'd like to recommend some books to put into our public schools. I'd like to recommend this, the King James Holy Bible. I'd like to recommend the Constitution of North Carolina, the U.S. Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. Why do we need government in the first place? What every American needs to know, by Dr. Christine McMathers. I'd like to recommend Young, Conservative, and Why It's Smart to Be Like Us by Young America. And I'd like to recommend the Tuttle Twins books. This is a popular children's book series. The books have sold over 4 million copies here in the U.S. They can teach children about freedom, liberty, rights, as well as a variety of other things. I encourage you to vote for the new Vogel law firm. And I'll also end on this. Real men aren't women, and there are only 2 genders, male and female. Thank you. Let's go, Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jeter Webb. Alicia Ogundelli.
Good evening.
Policy 3610, counseling program will be presented later tonight during the policy consensus portion of the meeting. You will hear that New Hanover County Counseling Program mirrors the American Council Association national model for counseling program, except that it doesn't have ASCA has 36 standards. It states all 36 standards can be applied to 3 counseling domains: academic, career, and social emotional development. The first standard is the student belief, the development of the whole self, including the healthy balance and mental of social, emotional, physical well-being. Beware that the phrase social emotional was deleted from policy 3610 last month policy committee meeting. Why? 2 reasons were given. Our schools are putting so much emphasis on social emotional development. Second, it was reported that there was a vast number of parents out there who have expressed that they're interested in social emotional, that they're not interested in social emotional programs. They are more interested in academics. I find that hard to believe when a lot of children out there don't possess academic skills and they need more emotional support. Second, our students are not robots. They present social behaviors and have emotions. We need policy 3610 to allow our school counselors to do their job and work with the whole child. You're taking human out of humanity. Thank you. Make it make sense. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ogundelli. Veronica McLaurin-Brown. Veronica?
Love Our Children advocates for the safety of all our children and staff in our schools. It supports Policy 4300, which states that school administrators will utilize positive behavior support alternatives to suspensions and only use out-of-school suspension as the last resort. It also supports Policy 4351, which states that students under age 8 or under 3rd grade will not be suspended except for incidents involving drugs, assaults, or possessing weapons. Those serious charges demand parental participation. Those serious charges demand parental participation. Love Our Children NC believes that our youngest learners should have the right to have a parent or representative present when they are a part of an informal hearing that will determine if they receive an out-of-school suspension for incidents involving drugs, assaults, possessing weapons. A parent should be allowed and encouraged to participate in the informal hearing, either in person, by phone, or in a video conference. Direct the policy committee to review policy 4351 at its next meeting. Revise the language so our 4, 5, 6, and 7-year-old children will have the right, the opportunity, the benefit of a parent or other representative present at an informal hearing for incidents involving drugs, assaults, or possessing weapons. Changing policy 4351 will improve and increase parent involvement in the life of their child at school.
Thank you, Ms. McLaurin-Brown. Jillian Hopman.
Good evening, and thank you to the board. My name is Jill Hopman, chair of the New Hanover County Democratic Party and an immigration and human rights attorney for the past 15 years. As someone who regularly works with children during administrative and legal proceedings, I'm here to respectfully request that short-term suspension policy 4351 is revised to allow for students under the age of 8 or under 3rd grade to have a parent or other representative present at an informal or formal disciplinary hearing. Right now, the policy states that no student has the right to representation at such hearings, while also expecting that child to be adequately informed of the basis for accusations, make statements in defense or mitigation, and request witnesses. I don't believe that any child under 8 even understands what mitigation means, let alone properly can process pending charges, defend themselves, call witnesses, or request a postponement, which the policy already allows for and which I'd advise each and every one of them to do based on the current text. Unless it is absolutely necessary, I almost never put kids on the stand or bring them into administrative hearings or even let them witness their parents' proceedings. Because any type of hearing where some other person or adjudicating body can decide your fate and change your future is fundamentally overwhelming, scary, and traumatizing, even for adults, and especially when you don't know what is going on, what is going to happen, or how to protect yourself. This is a critical bipartisan issue to protect students, parents, educators, and quite frankly, the school system itself for liability purposes. It is not just about well-established due process or representation rights, but about basic human rights, dignity, and fairness. Since the policy already allows for adjournment so that witnesses can be present, it seems very much like a no-brainer to afford the same general courtesy to both parents and children themselves. Thus, I respectfully request that Policy 4351 is revised to add these much-needed protections for young students. Thank you.
Donna Garrett.
Books, minds, and umbrellas only work if they're open. It is clear to this community which of you has an open mind. Instead of working to remove words social emotional and refraining from using equity in Policy 3610 counseling program, let's use these terms to align with the New Hanover County Strategic Plan and the state strategic plan. Why would you delete words that point to an evidence-based program that helps you reach your goals, especially when it can address some concerning practices like seclusion and restraint, bullying, while also helping to improve students' academics? The very idea of refraining from using the word equity from the policy speaks volumes. It's a standard as a parent and a community member that I demand remains. Let me remind you of the research findings for social-emotional learning. Hundreds of studies involving more than 1 million students worldwide across pre-K to 12 offer consistent evidence that SEL has a positive impact on students' academic achievement. Students participating in SEL have a higher level of school functioning as it reflects their grades, test scores, attendance, and homework completion. It also increases the performance of the 11 percentile points comparing to students who did not participate. That's a whole grade level. There's absolutely no need to remove these words from the policy, and I hope that you can focus more energy on how you will reach your strategic plan and not sabotage it. Our kids are in crisis, and I would think that the board would want to use every available resource to support our students. As elected officials, do the right thing and keep the words equity and social and emotional in Policy 3610.
Thank you, Ms. Gargett. Angie Kahaney.
Over 4 years ago, I addressed the board on behalf of the victims of sexual assault. Since then, there are new occupants in the seats before me, an entirely different board, superintendent, attorney, and a panel of senior staff. Yet here we are making the same plea to keep kids safe and do the right thing. A new legal contract sits before you tonight of 3 firms to consider for your legal fiascos, yet one question that has not been raised is which of them would provide advisement in the best interest of students? Not Tharrington and Smith, apparently. June marks 4 years since Michael Kelly confessed and was convicted of almost 60 counts of sexual abuse against students, and since that time, your goal has been to protect pedophiles and those who enable them instead of children. The board has signed off on prolonging the trauma of victims in that process and inflicting more pain through the ongoing hellish court battles. You find comfort in assuming that you all are safe under qualified immunity, but who's keeping our kids safe? The victims of these heinous crimes are not just numbers. They're former students that the district failed to protect, and many of us worry about the toll your actions take on their well-being every single day that this case stays stagnant. So as you go into closed session to deliberate, I'd ask that you give a second thought to the victims that you continue to abuse and ask yourself, when does it end? And what message are you sending to our students now? They obviously continue to be at risk, as there are plenty of predators out there watching the mess you've created with this case that has broken the trust of the entire community. You are elected to protect children, not figure out ways to get around doing so with excuses and blindly following legal counsel. No matter which law firm you go with, the choice is still yours with regard to ending this case and allowing the victims to finally begin to heal and live their lives. Perhaps it's time to elevate their voices on a platform that'll be heard, because their stories are far more heartbreaking than what I stand up here and say. Then maybe the public will understand the consequences of negligence of this district in failing to follow law and protect children, and push for accountability and finally set the victims free.
Thank you, Ms. Kahaney. Judy Justice.
Okay. Most of you need to start focusing on what is best for our school district, not advancing a political agenda that further damages our public schools. Our schools are in crisis due to lack of funding for staff and facilities from both our state and local government. Stop wasting precious time on those political issues that do not, in reality, affect this crisis but add to it. Stop trying to censor books and curriculum developed by educational professionals that a very small group finds offensive. Stop trying to cut funding for needed services such as SEL programs and practices. They do nothing but help all students, and especially our most needy. Stop trying to deny the LGBTQ community their fundamental rights as Americans, and stop accusing them of grooming students. Stop ignoring the dozens, if not hundreds, of sexual assault cases that have occurred for at least 20 years and are still resulting in student and staff suicides and ruined lives. And do not pick a relatively small and untried law firm because of political connections. That will do nothing but to add to our financial costs and continued legal entanglements. Start doing the job you were elected to do. Stop focusing on funding to support repairing our facilities and keeping and hiring good and needed staff. Fight for the money, the $1.5 billion from the hospital sale, promised to us. Start to properly evaluate the superintendent who continues to fail to serve our schools effectively. Start to help our schools designated as failing through targeted redistricting and real magnet programs based on educational research. And start to listen to all the staff and community, not just those who you politically align with. Do your job according to our educational needs, not how your political parties dictate. The election is over. Start serving all of the people.
Thank you, Ms. Justice. Your time is up. Carletta Grissett. Carletta? Carletta Grissett? Okay. Lisa Goff.
In honor of the National Day of Prayer on Thursday, May 4th, I'd like to remember what President Lincoln issued a proclamation calling for national humiliation, fasting, and prayer. It said in part, "We have been the recipients of the choicest bounties of heaven. We have been preserved these many years in peace and prosperity. We have grown in numbers, wealth, and power as no other nation has ever grown, but we have forgotten God. We have forgotten the gracious hand which preserved us in peace and multiplied and enriched and strengthened us, and we have vainly imagined in the deceitfulness of our hearts that all these blessings were produced by some superior wisdom and virtue of our own. Intoxicated with unbroken success, we have become too self-sufficient to feel the necessity of redeeming and preserving grace, too proud to pray to the God that made us. It behooves us then to humble ourselves before the offended power, to confess our sins, national sins, and to pray for clemency and forgiveness." Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goff. Kimberly Spicer. Kimberly Spicer? Okay. Yolanda Hernandez.
Good evening. Tonight I'm addressing Policy 3610, the Counseling Program and Equity for All Students. The American School Counselor Association has developed a national model for school counseling programs. Policy 3610 states that our counseling program should mirror that. The association has a position on equity for all students. It states that school counselors are advocate for the equitable treatment of all students in school and the community. It also states that the school counselor's role is to develop and implement a school counseling program promoting equity and access for all students. Some of the ways they do this is by using data to identify gaps in achievement, opportunity, and attainment, maintaining knowledge and skills for working in a diverse and multicultural work setting, and promoting access to rigorous standards-based curriculum, academic courses, and learning paths for college and career for all students. In the beginning of this school year, 13 of our schools were low performing. 4 students received a top grade of A. Clearly, some of our schools need more counseling support than others. Tonight's revised Policy 3610 calls for fair and consistent access to opportunities. Reject that. Vote instead for equity, for equitable access to opportunities. Let's support all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hernandez. Nell Case? She's not here. Gail Tabor.
Good evening. I grew up in North Carolina. My dad did not complete high school because he had to stop school in order to work on the family dairy farm. He completed his GED in the military, but he was a voracious reader. He read everything he could get his hands on, and he handed that trait down to his children, his grandchildren, and his great-grandchildren. We read as much as we possibly can, everything we can get our hands on. I grew up attending an evangelical church. We read the Bible, as I still do today in my vocation and in my home. I learned stories of rape and incest and adultery from the Bible. And I learned that God is love. And I've come to realize that for many, this means that God is love only if you have the same religious and political beliefs as they do. Fortunately, this type of belief runs afoul of the First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution that guarantees that no law be made respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. I will remind this board that regardless of your own beliefs on the topic of book content, to think about this: no one on the right side of history has ever been on the side of censorship or been on the side of banning books. And I implore you to consider that parents have the right to stop their child from reading a book, but not to stop every child from reading. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Michael Davidson.
Good evening. My name is Michael Davidson. I'm on the clock. First of all, I'd like to say that the acoustics here are very challenging. I can hear people who speak at this mic, but your mics I'm having challenges with. So I don't know if you can project a little bit more or check the sound system, but it's the second meeting I've had, and it's very hard to hear you. So I just want to speak a little bit about, if I can get my phone to work, which is always a challenge. Okay, so this is all my opinion, and I'm just going to state it. Freedom of speech and book banning cannot coexist. How do we create a well-informed future leaders if we restrict what they're asked to speak, what they can read? 50 years ago when I was in high school, my 50th anniversary is coming up, we had something called the William F. Buckley Stairway. Some of you may remember who William Buckley was. We had two groups in our school. We had the Common Concern Club and the Young Americans for Freedom. We were both on the different ends of the political spectrum. How did we debate? Well, what we did is we took butcher paper and posted our ideas on a stairwell between the second and third floor of our high school. Our advisors caused us to look at issues critically. They would not allow us to put things up that wasn't fact-based, it wasn't in some form that we could support in future speaking. We posted our ideas. We talked about Vietnam War, we talked about abortion, we talked about legalizing marijuana, but each time we spoke with respect. We didn't put down the other group that was posting their ideas. And also posting ideas on our wall allowed students who weren't involved in either of our clubs to understand ideas that we were throwing out there. In fact, we knew we had a hot topic when the stairwell was filled between classes.
Your time
Oh, I'm
is
sorry.
up.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry I didn't take enough time. Okay.
Oh.
I will finish.
Michael Davidson? That was him. Tracy Bannon?
Hi. I found it very interesting that others are talking about the sexual assault cases tonight when I've not heard one of them say anything about it before. I also find it very interesting that one of the prior school board members talked about it. She's been on the board for 4 years. What'd she do about it? Nothing. Let's see. We need to change attorneys because of the sexual assault case. Why should they try to settle it? They get billable hours. Why hasn't it been settled? These men, some of them have committed suicide. I consider these men to be murder victims. Why hasn't this been settled? Can you answer this? You also stated last week that you give all options to everything that's asked of you. You do not. You give options that you think others want to hear. And when an option is brought up to you, you then say, oh, yeah, that's right, but. So, as far as books go, I don't appreciate my money being paid for the kind of books that are in the libraries. You say that it's a parent's choice? Fine, it's a parent's choice, but it's my money that's being paid for. I don't appreciate that. I don't want my money to be spent on trash. You keep referring to the Bible, the stuff's in the Bible. Guess what? It's not good stuff that's in the Bible. It doesn't talk about the good stuff. Incest isn't good. The Bible doesn't say it's good. It's an abomination. You keep referring to it as being stuff good in the Bible, and it's not. So don't refer to your incest. The Bible doesn't teach a child how to have oral sex. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bannon. That concludes our call to audience. She did?
Kimberly Spicer.
Kimberly? Ah, there she is.
You can get the 2 minutes back up. Kimberly, if you hold on for 1 second, please. Your timer up.
Do y'all have a flash drive area thing up here? Well, never mind. Okay, I'm gonna be quick. Try to speak as fast as I can. I'm speaking not just for my daughter, but for all the students. My daughter is a student at Laney. She got hit January the 3rd. She got flown to Chapel Hill. We stayed there for 2 days. So my thing is, I don't know exactly where to start, but I'm starting with the school system. I'm going for more lighting in that area, a sidewalk, a trail, whatever. Don't really care what it is, but it was dark the night that my daughter got hit, and the young lady that hit her could not see her. So my thing, I'm fighting for more lighting in that area, because as soon as she hit the street, she got hit, and it was dark. So my thing to y'all is who to start from, where do I go? I'm gonna try to keep pushing this. She's only in the 10th grade. I don't care if it's till after she graduates, to get more lighting in that area, not just for my child, but for the students, you know, of course, Laney and Trask. So that's my thing. This is my daughter right here. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you.
That ends our call to the audience. At this point, we are going to go into closed session. I would call for a motion to go into closed. All right, I got you. Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 USC 1232G, and formulate plans related to emergency response and school safety to consult with the board's attorney and preserve attorney-client privilege, including the case captioned TH by parent or guardian, AH versus New Hanover County Board of Education, 23 EDC 00608. Is there a motion? I'm sorry, sir. Wait a minute.
Mr. Chair, in order to discuss the SBI report in closed session, we'll need to add the Doe cases to the closed session motion. So there should be a revised one posted online with the Doe cases added.
The last one. Okay, let's try again.
Thank you, sir.
Yep, thank you. All right. I call for a motion to go into closed session pursuant to NC General Statute 143, 318, 11, A1, 3, 6, and 8 to consider personnel matters and maintain confidential personal records under NC General Statute 115C through C 319 through 321 to prevent disclosure of student records rendered confidential under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act 20 USC 1232 to formulate plans related to emergency response and school safety, and to consult with the board's attorney and preserve attorney-client privilege, including the cases captioned TH by parent or guardian, AH versus New Hanover County Board of Education, 23 EDC 00608, John Doe's 1 through 14 versus New Hanover County Board of Education, et al., 19 CVS 2745, and Jane Doe's 1 and 2 versus New Hanover County Board of Education, et al., 20 CVS 1395, and Jane Doe 3 versus New Hanover County Board of Education, et al., 21 CVS 4707, consolidated matters.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I hear that motion? I have a motion from Ms. Bradford.
Second.
Second from Ms. Mason. Is there any discussion? You know what I'm thinking, don't you? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Passes 7-0. We are in closed session.
a whole thing. Did you see that? Dwayne the Toe Johnson? What the heck?
Wow, no damage. I don't know what he was doing. Pizza, what do you think of the? I know you haven't played this game in a while, but what do you think of the the threshold for the state and quality of play? Do you feel that it's eroded slightly, or do you think it's about where it was? No, guys, if you're in a Petro there, in a lose-lose situation, let me pause the music. You guys understand. All right, look. If you're in a lose-lose situation against a ship that has torps and is a pretty resilient armor, you're not really going to win that, right? You're not going to win that. So you have two things you can do. You can shoot his guns, right? But it's not going to matter because he's going to just close the distance and torp you down, right? So you just play for the ram. I mean, it sucks. It's kind of boring. It kind of sucks and it's kind of boring, but you just play for the ram. And that way you put the pressure on the Hindenburg player to take a weird angle where you might Citadel him. That's the only play. No, they take Citadels out of the game. You know this, man. Come on. Citadels have been patched out for some time. See what happens to the range mod Salem players? They hide all game, shooting at 40 kilometers, and then what happens? They walk in and get dev struck. Don't take range mod, guys, I'm telling you. You are not learning.
Please stand.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please sit. I need a motion to approve the agenda. All in favor? Aye. 9-0. Next up is the John H. Crowder Service Award. Reverend Kirkpatrick. Thank you. Kirkpatrick.
I have been called worse. Nicole, if you would come. All right. The late John H. Crowder spent more than 30 years serving the children of Union County. As a living tribute to him and his legacy, the Union County Board of Education awards the John H. Crowder Service Award every month to an outstanding high school student who is making a difference in their school and community. Students who have received this award are academically successful and have established history of community service. Tonight, we award the John H. Crowder Service Award for May to a Union County Early College senior. Nicole Bonilla Cruz has been in many leadership roles during high school. Currently at UCEC, she is student body president and secretary and membership outreach chair for the National Society of Leadership and Success. At South Piedmont Community College, she is president of the Honors Club and senior marketing chair for the Student Government Association. Outside of school, she is the youth president at Centro de Fe. Nicole is always present and actively involved in various events in school and outside of it. She takes on leadership roles in planning, promoting, and facilitating these events. She is extensively involved in many events in school, including Fall Festival, Spring Festival, Welcome Week, Hispanic Heritage Month, Union County Chamber of Commerce Gala, and Freshman Bridge. She also motivates her church congregation to increase their participation in events and service. Nicole excels academically in her class because she is dedicated to taking the most challenging courses. After completing 4 honors projects, including a case study on a deceased patient with gastric cancer, she will graduate with honors from South Piedmont Community College. In May, she will receive a high school diploma and an associate's degree. SPCC recently honored her with the Academic of Excellence Award. Adrian Porter, the principal, said Nicole is an exceptional student who has displayed relentless dedication and commitment to her academic pursuits. Graduating with honors in an associate's degree in 4 years says a lot and is a great accomplishment. She is a kind and compassionate person who is always willing to lend a helping hand to others. Her empathy and understanding shines through in her interactions with classmates and teachers. She is a funny and loving person who embodies what it means to be a Union County Early College Cyclone and a John H. Crowder Awards recipient. After graduation, Nicole plans to attend the University of North Carolina, Charlotte for engineering and finance. Board members, please join me in congratulating Nicole Bonilla Cruz as the May 2023 recipient of the John H. Crowder Service Award. Very good.
Next up is influencers, Dr. Harris.
Good evening. Hello? All right. Good evening. We are pleased to recognize 2 outstanding employees who have been named UCPS Influencers for May 2023. Also, our non-instructional winner from April, who was unable to attend last month, is here with us tonight. This program celebrates the passion, dedication, and hard work of UCPS employees. Each month, our staff members, students, families, and community members nominate a UCPS employee to be recognized for those positive influences they've had on our organization. For the month of May, I'm honored to present Don McCourt, a fifth grade teacher at Henby Bridge Elementary, Miranda Helms, after-school support specialist at Central Services. Our April nominee is Henry Shute, a database analyst at Technology Services. I will now invite the nominators to the podium to read their submissions and recognize the honorees' accomplishments. Ms. Gallup.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tiffany Gallup, a parent of a student at Henry Bridge Elementary. Ms. McCourt, thank you for joining me. Ms. McCourt is my son's fifth grade teacher and has an amazing work ethic and is very patient with him. She accommodates his food allergies by making sure he can participate in class activities and goes out of her way to find the right snacks for him. She has helped build his confidence by encouraging him to lead activities in the front of the classroom. Ms. McCourt has been excellent at maintaining communication with me and has been understanding in helping me address my child's educational difficulties. She has been non-judgmental and provides an unbiased advice on how to best support our child's success in Union County schools. Ms. McCourt is an excellent teacher who has positively impacted my child and other children within the community. She possesses all of the qualities we wish for in a teacher for a upcoming middle schooler. I'm inspired by her decades-long commitment to teaching children of the future.
Good evening. I am Laura Rimmer. I am an accounting specialist. Miranda, would you please join me? I'm sorry, I'm an accounting specialist with the after-school program. Miranda Helms is always willing to assist any of our employees who are struggling or do not comprehend the processes required to comply with the many state and sanitation regulations. She also helps our coordinators in preparing their centers for students or brainstorming ideas for any aspect of their work. Miranda was a coordinator for several years and had one of the best programs in the after-school, which was highly praised by a state consultant. Additionally, she is helpful to the central office staff and works to bring our team together through teamwork and enjoyable activities. It is evident that Miranda takes pride in her work and strives for nothing but excellence in our after-school program.
Good evening. I'm Barbara Medina, Administrative Assistant for School Performance. Henry Shute, you don't have to stand. It's okay. It's okay. Henry is one of our database analysts in tech services who works tirelessly behind the scenes to improve all things Team UCPS and technology. His ability to figure out what we are asking of him, even when we don't know what we're asking ourselves, is why he is my UCPS influencer. His can-do attitude makes him our go-to person. I asked Henry, isn't there a way that we can do whatever? And his answer, no matter what the problem is always yes. Henry is humble and kind and always makes you feel like you are the only one who needs help at the moment when he's actually juggling many, many, many projects. Thank you, Henry, for inspiring me every day.
I will now read the UCPS Influencers Proclamation from the Board of Education and Dr. Houlihan. Whereas the Union County Board of Education values the hard work of each employee within the district. Whereas performance is an essential part of the district's operations. Whereas Don McCourt, Miranda Helms, and Henry Shute exemplify the performance, dedication, and teamwork essential to the success of the district and its students. Now, therefore, the Board of Education for Union County Public Schools and Dr. Andrew G. Houlihan, Superintendent, hereby proclaim Don McCourt, Miranda Helms, and Henry Shute as Union County Public Schools influencers for the month of May 2023. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you all for all you do. Thank you.
There he is.
Be careful. Do you want to go out that door? Does that? He's still on there, right?
He's still on there,
Okay,
yeah.
and
It
all
just
of this
moves
down.
to the end,
Okay.
and she's from Charlotte, so they'll be
So,
at the end.
I got what you meant now.
And this
Okay.
one is not here, definitely not here.
Okay.
And neither has she wasn't here. at the
Katie?
end. Katie.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Next up, Dr. McKibben on the growth impact study. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson, Superintendent, ladies and gentlemen of the board. This reminds me of when I was early in my career, first presentation, about 400 people in the room. And so we'll now hear from the demographer, and about 2/3 of them got up and left. So I've learned not to take it personally. You're all good to see you again. A couple of years. I'm going to present briefly in 15 minutes the results of the population enrollment study. But quickly, before I go into the results, for those who haven't heard me speak before, these are forecasts, they're not projections. A projection is where you take a variable, usually year-to-year survivorship, second to third, third to fourth grade, over a 3 to 4, 5-year period, create an algorithm, and use that algorithm to literally project into the future. Very quick, easy, simple, cheap. Until about the mid-1990s, all you had for enrollment research. The problem with the projection, however, is the only way a projection can be correct is as what's happened in the last 5 years replicates itself over the next 5 or 10. I don't know about anybody here, but I hope we don't see the next 5 years again anytime in my lifetime. Forecast, two-step procedure. First thing we do is a full population forecast for each of the elementary attendance areas. 0 to 4, 85 plus, male to female. Build a fertility, mortality, migration model specific to the demographic characteristics and dynamics of that area. We look at age structure, household structure, existing home sales, new home construction. With Matt Cropper's help on his geocode, we can look at yields for individual subdivisions. Anything we lay our hands on, we put into it. The results of that population forecast then drives the enrollment forecast. So it's your current and future demographic dynamics that will dictate your enrollment forecast, not what your past trends have been. Now, anytime you're doing, I knew I was going to do that. There we are. Okay. Anytime you're doing forecasts, you have to have assumptions. These are broad socioeconomic demographic parameters, so to speak, that we use in building these forecast models. Now, I don't want to go through all of them, but I do want to go through the big three, okay? These are the variables that have the highest amount of potential random error in a forecast. And probably the most important one is B. The 30-year fixed mortgage stays between 5 and 7% for the next 10 years. A bold assumption. We'll find out tomorrow if Jerome Powell's going to take his foot off the gas, quit raising interest rates. This morning, the 30-year fixed rate was about 6.5%. A year ago right now, it was 3.8. Fastest rise we've seen in U.S. history, okay? We're going into the summer home buying season. Most people with children particularly, if they buy homes, are between April and August. So let's see what the impact of these higher interest rates are going to be. There was a great article on CNBC just 2 months ago. If you bought a $400,000 house a year ago and bought the same house today with higher interest rates, it adds $800 to your mortgage payment. It's going to have an impact. We're going to see here real soon how much it is. I don't think we'll go above 7%, but I don't think we're going to go below 5. And that's a key point because most of the people under the age of 40 have seen nothing but 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5% interest rates for the last 15 years. 6.5 sounds like highway robbery. So this is, again, a major impact. The other two are Q and R. The district will average 960 new single-family housing units constructed per year over the next 10 years. Over the last decade, you averaged about 1,200, just a little below that right now. But right above that, the district will average 4,200 existing home sales per year. I'm not worried about the district making that 960 number. It's the 4,200 number that worries me. And why is that? It's because COVID and post-COVID, the elderly have pretty much stopped moving. Talk to any realtor, and this is where it befuddles people. They'll sit there and they'll say, well, there's this white-hot housing market out there. I put my house on the market. It sells in 3 days for asking price or higher. You know, they're building to beat the band. You just look around here, you know, driving in from Waxhaw, the building going on. Must be this white-hot housing market. But not only for Union County, but just about every other place around the country, total home sales for 2022 was between 15 and 25% less than it was in 2019. Talk to any realtor, they'll tell you the supply of homes in the market at an all-time record low. The builders, seeing the opportunity, anything in the pipeline they've got, they're trying to push it through, trying to make up for that shortfall. But even in a fast-growing area like Union County, new home construction is always at the top's been 20, maybe 25% of the market. It's the existing home sale market. And for that, we use Zillow, RealtyTrack, Realtor.com. Get it right down to the address level, how long it's been on the market, how long it's sold for, property history. Everything about your house is public domain data. Instead of having to go down to the courthouse to get the data, now we just get it offline. That's going to be the key number because there is a rapidly, and you'll see from the population pyramids here in a second, a rapidly increasing over 65 population in this county over the next 10 years. Number I like to cite to people, the front end of the baby boom today is 76 years old and the peak is 67. 10 years from now, the front end of the baby boom is going to be 86 years old and the peak's going to be 77. They're going to start downsizing. The rate and magnitude of that transformation of old empty nest households moving out, allowing young households to come in with children is going to be the key dynamic. And that trend is not evenly spread across the district. We had Matt Cropper geocode your students again. That's where we put them all back in the home attendance area. Kind of tough to read on this screen. The green number is the students that both live and attend that particular school. Number across the top are the students that actually live in that attendance zone. And these are the ones enrolled in the school. The marginal numbers, these are ones who live outside the attendance area, transfer in, and these are the ones that transfer out. Okay, we have it for the elementary, the middle, and the high school. Very important too, because there's some latent grandfathering still going on from the last redistricting. A couple of outliers there. But this allowed us to go back and correlate the actual number of elementary age students living in the area to the demographic variables. And if it was available from the 2020 census, we used it. Sidebar for a second. You probably heard there's part of the 2020 census out. It is, but only 7 variables. The rest of the characteristics data doesn't come out till this month, next month, sometime in the summer. We don't know the quality of it yet, but it's going to come out. The redistricting file had 7 variables in it, and we used that. That data has been cleaned and vetted, and it's pretty good shape. But it was only 7 key variables. So And we also have it for the middle schools, works the same way. The green numbers are students that both live and attend that middle school area. Your marginals are those who live out and attend in, and those who live in the area and go someplace else. Because your outliers here is a little bit in Monroe. Now, the high school, you'll see inflated numbers in the live-in attend out because it also includes Central Academy, Early College, South Providence, and the Wolf. So these numbers tend to look a little bit higher because a lot of the attendance areas all have kids going to particularly Central Academy. And these are the ones who are transferring in. And again, the green numbers diagonally are the ones who both live and attend in that attendance area. And again, this allows us to put the kids back in their home attendance area and correlate them with the demographic variables. Okay, all this goes in the calculation of the population forecast, okay? Your 2020 census number is about 238,310. The district went up about 37,000 people and also increased about 12,200 housing units. Now, one thing I don't have up here, it's a key point, the persons per household dropped from 2.97 to 2.93, 0.01 over the last 10 years. Doesn't sound like much until you multiply it by 80,000 households. That's about 800 people. And a real crude measurement is 2.68 people, mom, dad, whatever the point is kids. So most of that 800 drop was 0 to 18-year-olds. Now, in the U.S., the drop was much more significant, 0.03, which doesn't sound like a lot either until you multiply it by 120 million households. U.S. population grew by 22 million people last decade, our slowest growth rates in history, but it was still 22 million people. The under 18 population dropped by 1 million. That's a major trend going on here. And in Charlotte, Mecklenburg area, the metropolitan area is not immune to this. Now, there's two ways to read this. You can follow an age cohort over time. 5 to 9 here is basically your elementary age, going from 18.2, 16.9, 1600, then creeping back up 16.4, 16.2. Or follow an age cohort through time. 0 to 4 becomes 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15, 19, 20, 24. Across the bottom is median age. And like most areas of the country, and definitely most suburban areas, median age is going up from 39.9 to 43.5. The marginal columns are the components of change. Births basically staying pretty flat. Deaths going up, not because of COVID, but you have an aging population. You have more people in prime dying age. Natural increase is shrinking, just like it is most other areas of the country. Net migration. Now, this is net migration. How many people moving in, how many people moving out. So like the last Internal Revenue Service data, you had 16,500 people move in the district between 20 and 21, but you also had 12,200 moving out. So the net migration for that period was only about 4,000 people.
And welcome to my...
These tend to be, and then there's this subsequent change. Now, one other factor in here, births, you'll notice 11,000 for the 5-year period versus 13,000. This is a trend you see in virtually every suburban area in the country. And Union County is no different. You don't have enough births in the county to maintain your enrollment. Currently, you're averaging about 2,700 students in first grade, but you only have about 2,450 births each year, about 250 short. So for example, your first grade cohort coming in this fall in 2023 is born in 2018 or 2017 at that point. 250 born in that cohort need to move into the district.
Welcome back to the garage, home of Captain
Just for your enrollment to break even. There's a lot of people that will look and say, oh, I see all these people moving in. They want to add it to what you already have, not realizing there's a big preschool deficit. You need about 500 households moving in every year just to break even. That's a very, very key point. And again, that's spread differently amongst the district also. And it goes into the enrollment forecast. So now, COVID wreaked havoc on school enrollment all over the country. The average school district lost between 3 and 7% of their enrollment during the first year of COVID. You're about 3.2, so you're the lower end of the scale. Then you bounce back up to 379. Now, this is where it gets confusing to people when they say, well, we had this great growth last year, 2%. We're up 779 people. Those 1,335 declined. They did not leave the district for the most of them. They just chose other educational options. A lot of this increase is not people moving into the district, but students returning to public schools. And you don't want to confuse the two. So if you're correlating that to what you're seeing in building and home sales, you're going to overestimate it, okay? Now, and particularly for a district with a history of growth like Union County has, you're going to return to more typical growth rates in the next 2 or 3 years. But then it starts going into decline mode. And why is that? Well, my old analogy, the bucket of water. A bucket of water, I'm pouring water in the top and there's a hole in the bottom. As long as I'm pouring in faster than it's going out the bottom, level will rise.
What happened there, Tux?
But if for some reason the hole in the bottom gets bigger, it's now going out faster than I'm pouring it in, the level will drop. Well, the hole in the bottom of your bucket's going to get bigger. Over the last 10 years, where did I write that? Must be here. Yeah. Over the last 10 years, your average 12th grade class has averaged 3,100 students. Over the next 10 years, they're going to average about 3,400. So if you were to maintain the same growth rate, you're going to need 300 more students coming in on top of what you've already got moving into the district, just to maintain that same growth rate. So it's no surprise that when the 12th grade graduating classes get to 3,500, you start seeing a decline the next year. 3,400, 34, 33. These are much bigger than the 3,100 you had before and the less than 3,000
Like
earlier.
how it's on my mini map,
So
but
that's
I
why
can't
you're
see
kind
it.
of seeing this growth kind of level out. The first grade kindergarten enrollments stay pretty flat. You're going to have a healthy in-migration flow, and your biggest in-migration flows come from Mecklenburg County. About almost 40% of all your in-migration is coming from Mecklenburg
We have a
County.
4-on-2.
I know it seems like they're coming from, all up north. They're not. In fact, it's 3/4 of them are within probably 50 miles of Union County. York, Lancaster also has a big flow. Some of the other collar counties around Mecklenburg. That flow is sustained. It'll be strong. You still have young households moving in, but you have a fast-growing empty nest population. And this is a great example out here, right up here by Walter Bickett. Got all that building going on Waxhaw Highway. But there's all those subdivisions that they've built there the last 5-10 years coming down this road. So yeah, you've got new households moving into that new construction, but all those households that people moved into 5 years ago, 5 years from now, all their kids have moved on to middle and high school. And a lot of the housing units with school-age kids in them, particularly in the western and to a certain extent some of the northwestern part of the district, they'll still have kids in them, but they're all going to be middle and high schoolers as that wave goes through your school system. So you'll need that new construction bring in new households, because most of these people that moved to these houses the last 5 or 7 years are not going to sell and downsize as soon as their last kid graduates high school. So that's a kind of a broad view of your macro trends. And I got that done in 17 minutes, and that's a record for me. So clearly they've all heard me speak before. So
All right, so I see a lot of facts here around single-family housing. You're talking about the children growing up, the parents staying in, becoming empty nesters. What about all the multifamily units that we see going up? Stallings, Indian Trail, Waxhaw.
That's a good point, because single-family and multifamily have two completely different demographic dynamics, okay? Multifamily, they tend to be younger. We call apartments family formation areas. You don't come out of college and buy a house, you come out of college and rent an apartment. Then you get married, start having kids, but most people don't want to raise their kids in an apartment, okay? So in these apartments, you'll see them, they're all loaded with kids, but there's a large amount of preschoolers, which is good for the district because you get a preschool deficit. But the kids per household and the school-age kids per household, there's a pretty good sized gap between those two numbers. And also apartment dwellers move an average every 2 years. Homeowners tend to be older. Because of that, they're wealthier, have completed their family formation. They may have a kid or two and they move in, but most of them are either preschool or already aging in, and they move an average every 14 years. So the apartments have a much more churn, because when the oldest kid gets to be about 4, 5, 6 years old, if they have the economic resources to do so, they're out looking to buy a house, probably someplace else in the district. And then a new household moves in, the whole process starts again. So it's a very quick turnover. For single-family existing homes, it takes like 20, 25, 30, 35 years for the whole thing to turn over. Does that make sense? Okay.
It does, yeah. I guess where I'm going, like you talk about the 6.5% interest rates, right? So like I have 20-something-year-old children. They're not in the home buying market right now because of the high interest rates. And in Union County, I mean, at their annual salaries, there's no way they're moving into Marvin and, taking out a mortgage.
Right,
So,
and in this area, they're moving into apartments in Mecklenburg. They're building them to beat the band in there, all those young professionals apartments and all that, going up like the Blue Line, things like that. Wonderful. Yeah, you don't see any kids schools good come out of those things. Then you see all those preschools, but they're not designed for it. That's why I think the apartments out here are a little more, I think, attractive to young households with school-age kids. But again, I'll go back to a fundamental point, particularly with, if they're charging over $2,000 a month for rent, no one's going to raise their kid in the apartment because they're not built for kids. They're not really kid-friendly. And most people just don't want to do that. So if you have the economic resources, particularly if you're in a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment, it's not that much more, even with 6.5 interest rates, to go to a starter home. Now, you may not be able to afford something out in Reddington, but you probably get something in another part of the district. And that's one of the reasons they're out here is schools, close to work, more housing types that they would like to see. Is pretty much restricted in there. There's a multitude of factors that are going in that migration decision-making process.
Okay, thank you.
I got one question. I guess you've been doing this a while. For us, how have your previous forecasts stack up to the actual numbers?
Somehow I knew someone was going to ask that question. Last forecast, and this is after COVID. Remember, I did my first forecast right when COVID hit, Out of 41,083 students, I was off by 139 or 0.3%. Thank you. Always use a fresh chicken when you're forecasting. But now, one of the reasons for that is part of it, for honest, was luck. And the luck part of it was we recognized right off the bat that this was not out-migration. Okay, this was people making a different educational choice in the depth of COVID. And the 3 to 7% has been pretty standard across the country. You pretty much have that for 9% of school districts. The wild card has been the return factor. And I have seen everything across this country from a 100% coming back like you guys to maybe half. I've seen districts with 2, 3 years of continuous declines on it. And that goes into the economy, the policies during COVID, parents how they felt about safety in their students and all that. There's a myriad of factors going in there. You guys all came back. Most suburban school districts, and I mean like 80, 90%, saw them all come back eventually. But a lot of districts didn't see them all come back. So we assumed in the forecast they were all going to come back. So